Hi again, Jonathan Holmes from Destructoid.com here with Nutsuma-san, producer at Capcom, and today we're going to talk primarily about Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but I could talk to this guy for days, so watch out. How have you been? Last time I saw you was in February for the Tatsunoko vs. Capcom launch event in New York City.
Since I last saw you, I've just been working on this game right here, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I've been doing it day and night, been pretty busy, and I haven't had time to really think of anything else.
I was kind of upset. I had just interviewed you and asked you what you were working on, and you were like, I can't tell you, but maybe there'll be more Versus games. And maybe a month later, this got announced. I was like, oh, yeah, he could have told me. He held out on me. I'm so upset.
Just, the company, the restrictions, I couldn't tell you then. I'm glad that I'm able to tell you about it now, and we're here at E3 to talk about it. I think it's another game in the Versus series that I'm known for, and I think it's a great game for people who are new to fighting games. They can just get in it and start playing. Because it's E3, a lot of the players out there and the fans, they won't get a chance to get their hands on it yet, but there'll be other events coming on and leading up until the release where they'll get their hands on it, so I'm looking forward to that.
In terms of the system for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I got a little time with it, and it felt like a cross between Tatsunoko vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Is that what you're going for, or are there other goals that you have in terms of designing the fighting system of the game?
Actually, we're still working and refining the fighting system for the game, so what you have here on display at E3 is probably close to what you just described, a combination of the two games in one. But the ones actually that we're still working on, the recent versions we have at the company, are closer to what Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was. So the future versions that you'll get to try out, they'll probably be closer to what Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was than what you see here at E3.
Is there any chance that any of the other features from Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, like the gigantic characters, may make their way into Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
That's another thing we're still working on. What I'd like to clarify, though, is that Tatsunoko vs. Capcom was its own entry into the Versus series, so that was its own animal, if you will. This is Marvel vs. Capcom 3, so it's the successor to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So as much as we can, we want to make this one as close to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in terms of gameplay, so it feels like a natural successor to the previous incarnations. Everything we did in Tatsunoko vs. Capcom was for Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, so I probably say that most of the things in that game you won't see reflected in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The closest you could say that it had an impact on was the button layout.
Will Marvel vs. Capcom 3 share kind of the same universe as Marvel vs. Capcom 2? Because Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in particular had unique characters like Ruby Hart and Amingo, I think you pronounce it. And it was a very special game to me. It really defined its own kind of logic and world, and I'm still very attached to that world. And the music, too. As corny as it is, I sing those songs in the shower all the time. So I'm wondering how much of that may carry over into Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
I think we really kind of changed the game a bit with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, so it doesn't have that unique world feel. The graphics are a big change from the previous incarnation. With this game, we're trying to aim for like a moving comic book. Even the music itself will be different. We're trying a more modern flavor to it. That doesn't mean we're completely ignoring everything that was fun about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So the fans of that, we're putting little in-jokes and things like that of that nature in this game.
Speaking of in-jokes, I noticed Deadpool has a lot of jokes that you probably would only know if you read the American comics. So I'm wondering if you were advised by Capcom USA at all in terms of the characterization of the Western characters.
Definitely, Capcom America has been giving us a lot of advice about the comic-related stuff, but also on the Japanese development team, we have a lot of fans of the American comics, and so they've been studying them closely and looking for little things and jokes to put into the game, and Deadpool's got a lot of that, and if you're a fan of Deadpool, there's some things in there that, like, he may have only done once or twice in the comics, but that are really resonated with fans.
A lot of people have begged me to ask you to make Darkstalkers Tatsuno vs. Capcom 2. It's not really a question, but if you can answer it by saying, oh yeah, I'm making that right now, funny you should ask, I would be very happy. So please, try to make me happy.
I'm sorry to disappoint you and be the bearer of bad news, but I'm not working on either of those right now. Thing is, the company we had Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, and now Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So we are working on fighting games. The fighting game genre is important to us, but our goal right now, especially my personal goal, is to make Marvel vs. Capcom 3 a success. I want to see that do well. And if that does well, then we can start thinking about other titles, continuing the fighting game genre. But if it doesn't do well, then there won't be any more entries. But I hope this does well, and then if it does, then we can start thinking about maybe another Darkstalkers or a sequel to Tatsunoko vs. Capcom.
There's not many things I can say for sure in this world. You know, one of them that I can say for sure is that Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is going to make you a lot of money, which is exciting for me because this is one of my favorite series, so to see it coming back. Super Street Fighter 4 is coming to 3DS, which is exciting. I don't know if you have any involvement with that. So if you do, of course, feel free to comment on it, and if you don't, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the 3DS regardless.
Unfortunately, I wasn't involved with Super Street Fighter 4 for the 3DS. I wasn't part of that team. That was some different area completely from what I'm involved with at Capcom. But I will say this. I did get a chance yesterday to try out the 3DS, and when I got my hands on it and saw it, wow, this has a lot of potential. I thought it's the type of new system that comes along, and it makes me as a developer want to make games for it. And now that we've announced Super Street Fighter 4 on the 3DS, since I do fighting games myself, I think if I have the chance in the future, I'd really like to make a fighting game for this system.
Last time I saw you, you mentioned Nintendo versus Capcom, and that would be the perfect game for 3DS. So make my dreams come true in your spare time, if you have the time. Oh, and can you show us your shirt before we wrap up? It's very cool. So Thor is on there. I wonder why.
That is a mystery, isn't it?
Thank you so much. It's always so great to see you.
Hi, I'm Seth Killian from Capcom, the special advisor to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, here at the Tokyo Game Show 2010. And we've got a bunch of exciting new Marvel vs. Capcom 3 stuff going on.
Awesome. Okay, so Seth, run us through basically anybody that hasn't, doesn't know anything about Street Fighter, right? Or has maybe played it when they were, ages ago. But give us a rundown of what's going on with the new Marvel vs. Capcom 3, new characters that you can talk about at the moment,
Sure.
or what we can expect from this new franchise.
All right, well, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, for anybody that hasn't played 2, one, you should play Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Amazing game. But basically it's a 3-on-3 fighting game, so it's not just about one character versus one character. It's about 3 versus 3, and the team mechanics are actually really important because you use the partners that are not on the screen at any time or at the same time to call in assist moves, which are very, very powerful. So that's a key part of the game. Also, you tag between all the characters, so really having an overall flow and integration, and not just one character but a whole team, is the key to success. But it's also just a really fun game. It's easy to get into, easy to pick up. The motions tend to be much less complicated than a Street Fighter game, and there's just a lot of crazy stuff happening on the screen. It's a big play space with a lot of flying around and giant lasers and explosions and whatnot, so it's really fun to pick up and play. One of the new features in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is actually, we'll get to the characters, which is the fun bit in a minute, but we actually got what's called a simple mode of operation. So I think the game is already pretty simple to pick up for anybody that's new to fighting games. But if you're brand new, or you're somebody who's struggled with throwing a Hadouken or a Fireball or something like that in the past, what we've got is you're able to execute most of your normal moves on a single button by repeated taps. You can also do a special move with a single button. So you just tap it, you'll throw a Hadouken, throw the Fireball. If you want to do a Shoryuken, you just hold down and hit that special button. You'll do a Shoryuken, just like that. And you've also got super moves on one button as well, so you can just jump and hit that button or stay on the ground, whatever you like. You can bust out a super move with one button as well. So if you just want to get into the game and start having fun and you've never played a fighter before, this is a great way to get anybody into the game who's never tried it before. And you can get the ebb and the flow and sort of realize how you should switch your teams and when you should use your supers, and you're not struggling with just trying to do the motion. You can think more strategically about how you want to do it because it's just on one. It's at the press of a button, so that's great.
The press of the button is very, very simple like that.
Indeed,
Okay,
indeed.
Good stuff. All right.
So a lot of complex strategy.
Yeah, there is.
But,
basically, you can make it really, really complicated, or you can just make it very, very simple.
Yeah, that's what's made Marvel vs. Capcom 2 popular for over 10 years. Is the depth and the complexity there.
All right.
But apart from that, of course, it's about the characters. In the game.
And there's lots of new characters, eh?
There are.
All
Yeah.
right.
So we've got a lot.
Let us know. Give us a rundown on what you're allowed to say.
Hopefully, I don't blow this one.
All right. Here we go.
So, playable for the first time here at Tokyo Game Show, we've got On the Capcom side, we've got Beautiful Joe from the Beautiful Joe series, of course,
Awesome.
a big fan favorite.
Yeah.
Also one of my personal favorites, the wolf from Okami, Amaterasu.
Okami, yeah.
And she's just rendered beautifully. So anybody that's a fan of Okami, definitely at least watch some trailers, try her out, because she's so many loving touches for any fans of Okami that are put into this character. And then on the Marvel side, we've got Dormammu, who's a bit of an obscure character, but basically they don't call him the devil, but he's pretty much the devil. From another dimension, he's raining hellfire and opening portals to all sorts of awful places, and just generally causing stuff to fly at you. So for fans of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, think a little bit like Blackheart, but fairly distinct character as well. And then, of course, finally on the Marvel side, we've got Thor, who hopefully needs no real introduction.
No.
The God of Thunder. He's a bit more of a bruiser type of character. He's got more mobility options than like a Zangief, but also a command grab. So character or players that like a big bruiser kind of guy that can get you
like Zangief, basically,
and smash you with a big hammer. That Thor's your man.
Awesome.
And we also just yesterday announced 2 brand new characters.
Awesome.
So,
here we go, ladies and gentlemen. What are they? Here we go.
On the Capcom side, it was Tron Bonne from the Mega Man Legends series.
Tron
Bonne, yes.
Tron Bonne,
so
here we go,
Back from Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with a bunch of new tricks. Very fun character. She can cause, like, one of her, her popular supers is what they call Lunch Rush, where she rings the lunch bell and basically 10,000 Serbots charge out and tackle you on their way to eat. And I don't know why robots are eating, but they do. And on the Marvel side, we've got X-23, who's a clone of Wolverine, but a female clone.
X-23, right?
Indeed, X-23. She's very powerful, very fast character. I think the fastest character in the game right now.
Really?
So she's brutal. A lot of
how
stuff
complicated?
will be showing off with her.
How complicated is she to use?
I would say Tron is actually a little more complicated than X-23. So X-23 at a basic level you can pick up very quickly because she's got a lot of effective rushes and is just fast.
So you can just button mash and pretend you're doing something good, and you can bring out a 1,000 hit combo.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You can really confuse your opponent. I'm doing most of my losing right now to a guy who plays X-23.
Oh, well, you've beaten me today, so I can't say that.
Yeah,
so that's good. So basically, so apart from that, if you're new to the series, who would you recommend players pick up and play? For the best 3 characters that you could start off with.
Well, of course, Ryu's an easy character to pick up and play, and you'll know that you'll be familiar with those kind of motions right away. But I think Dante is sort of the new Ryu of Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yes.
He's got a ton of great specials that are all really interesting.
Yep.
He doesn't, you can button mash a bit because he's got good range, so you don't have to. You don't have to worry that you're going to do some crazy special that's going to leave you wide open. Most of his stuff is relatively safe. Beautiful Joe's a lot of fun too. He doesn't have as much range, but he's a very fast character that can sort of stay in your face and stay on top of you. Chun-Li is also really strong. The only thing about Chun-Li is she doesn't take the hits very well. So you can die quite quickly. So she's a lot of fun to play, but you can't. You can dish it out, but you can't take it.
Like that.
So,
fair enough.
Beware.
Okay, good stuff. And more complicated expert characters?
Dormammu is definitely a bit of an expert character. I think Trish, also from the Devil May Cry series. She's not necessarily so difficult to play, but her moves are very potentially deadly and when used in the right way. So she can create a lot of little traps around the screen. So again, if you're able to think at a more sort of strategic level, you can start predicting where your opponent's going to be and leave traps for them so they're going to run into. And it's basically sort of a Dhalsim kind of effect where you feel like you can't move almost.
Really?
It's like she's all over you.
Man, amazing. That's fantastic.
So that's another character to look out
Awesome.
for.
Okay. Apart from that, now, are there any characters that you can pick that are unlockable that you can't get at the beginning of
that's something we're still going back and forth a bit internally. So Japan loves the idea of unlockables. And I think in the West we're not as I mean, sometimes I enjoy the idea of unlocking characters, but as long as it's not too many. So we'll see where that nets out. Maybe enough. Some, but we may be able to keep them all loose from the start. So sometimes it's nice. I mean, the idea with the Japanese thinking is you should play some characters at the beginning, master them, and then by mastering those, you're going to unlock more. So you're not overwhelmed from the beginning with a ton of stuff that is very challenging.
And just quickly, the options. I know that you've got arcade mode and stuff like that, but do you have anything what other options do you have in the game as well?
It's pretty. It's sort of it's a good representation for a fighting game. So we've got sort of a story mode. We've got something where you can do a bit of practicing in sort of an interesting way, and of course online, which I'm
challenges as well. You got challenges like you did.
That's still TBD. TBD. So we'll see. It'll be some form of something like that.
Yeah.
But
story mode pretty much is basic and multiplayer as well.
Indeed,
online.
yeah. And so I mean, the challenges won't be a Street Fighter kind of style thing because this game is too big with too many specials to really offer that. It's not as relevant for a Marvel style game.
Yeah.
But we have some surprises.
Awesome. Okay, and basically, I know that of course it's a fighting game, but how's the storyline in this one?
Well, it's Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Fate of Two Worlds. So
Fate of Two Worlds. The two worlds collide, right?
Indeed. You've got the Marvel and the Capcom universe, so you'll get a little backstory on why they're colliding.
Yep.
Why their fate both hangs in the balance.
Oh. And in the end, they all live happily ever after?
No,
or?
no. I don't think so.
Jeez, I love that one.
Yeah,
so there's a twist, eh?
There's a bit of a twist, and but it also depends on which characters you finish the game with. So what's fun also about the endings is that we'll be able to pull characters that aren't even in the game.
Yeah.
So basically, we have access to the entire Marvel universe.
Okay, and they all come in at one point or another.
And Capcom. Well, I can't promise everything.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a big universe as well as the Capcom, but we're going to try and get a bunch of more fun stuff happening in there in the endings. Some nice reward for people that finish the story.
Excellent. And it's going to be out on Xbox and PlayStation 3, right?
That's correct, yeah.
And when is it due?
It's spring. We're
spring.
Still going spring.
All right,
2011.
spring 2011.
That's pretty close. It's not so far away now.
That's all right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, apart from that, I think that's basically it.
Well,
thank you very much for your time, Seth, and we'll speak to you soon.
All right, my pleasure.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Interview.
Hi, my name's Yota Nitsuma, and I'm the producer of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The direction we want to go in for Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for the fighting system employed in the game is to take the best of both worlds of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Tatsunoko vs. Capcom and combine that into just one great game so that players who are familiar with Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Tatsunoko vs. Capcom can just start playing and have no problems getting into the action of the game. When talking about fighting games, you do need to have the basics, online play, versus mode, things like that. And of course, with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, we want to implement a network play where people can fight each other online. I mean, that is an obvious goal for this title. And we're actually working on a few other elements to make it more robust and to round it out. And you'll hear more about them in the future. With Marvel vs. Capcom 2, there were, of course, popular characters in the game and then characters that most people didn't know about. And yes, there is kind of a logic in selecting those characters because it's a fighting game, so your goal is to have balance. So yeah, we wanted to have the popular characters, but in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, a third to a half of the characters were characters you hadn't seen in one of the previous fighting games. So there were a lot of characters people were just like, yeah, why? Why would you put this guy in there? But they kind of became a hot topic amongst players, like, hey, this guy's kind of cool, didn't know him, like using him, and so we like to see that reaction from the players. So with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the same type of logic works in choosing the characters that we decide to ultimately put in the game. You could say Tatsunoko influenced Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but it also was being developed at the same time as Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. So they were kind of separate lines of development. They were both versus series games, so in that sense they played off each other. But the fact is, Tatsunoko's influence is the anime, the original anime, the Tatsunoko production anime, and Marvel Comics is, of course, the comics that characters come from. So with Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, we wanted to make sure we could get the Tatsunoko characters as close as to their animation counterparts as possible. And for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, our goal is to mimic what you see in the Marvel Comics, but make that move and come to life. We're looking at the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. Those are our target platforms for this multi-platform release. And you know, this is a really big title. A lot of fans have been expecting this for a long time. And so, yeah, there is a certain degree of pressure, and I feel it, especially now that I've just finally opened up the can of worms and made the announcement. I'm sure with each successive announcement, there's going to be more pressure from the fans, more of them clamoring for this and that, and I know I'm going to start feeling that. I just hope I don't pass out in the middle of production. We're looking at spring 2011 to get it into your hands, and from here on out until that day, we got a lot more information coming to you.
Hi, I'm Seth Killian from Capcom. I'm the special advisor to Marvel vs. Capcom 3. It's the beautiful game you see right behind you. We're here at E3 2010. Right now we're saying over 30, so there'll be at least 30. We'll see how many more will be coming out of the gates, but 30 or above. No. Certainly it will be in development. So this is still a very early build. We're a long way out from the game. Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, but this is quite early for us. We weren't even sure we were going to be able to show it, but we convinced the team to show it because we thought it looked good. Developers never think the game is done, so. Well, Capcom's, this is being developed out of Japan. So the fighting stuff all comes out of Japan. We're working very closely with Marvel on the US side to make sure that the characters are represented accurately and fun and have a great integration with the comic series. But sort of collectively, this deal has been in the works with all parts of Capcom for a long time. We've really been trying to make this happen for a long time. We know the fans wanted it. We wanted to make the game. It's just Marvel's characters have become very popular recently, so obviously they've had a lot of success with their films. So there's a lot of people in contention to try and get these characters, so we're happy to have them back to use in this great fighting game. Ironically, I don't think it has almost very many common elements with Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Well, the button layout has a light, medium, and hard, but there's also a fourth button, which is a regular attack as well. So it has 4 attack buttons exactly like Marvel. They're just laid out in a different fashion. So I see where you're coming from. Yeah, that's exactly the issue we have. So I think the more time you spend with it, you'll find it actually overall the systems are very, very similar to Marvel 2. The button setup is still in development, and maybe there'll be an option for people to just pick their own button setup. The way I play it at home, I actually have Marvel's 2 style buttons, so in 4 together and then 2 assists on the side. But that's just because I'm old school. It's easy to pick up either way, so it's whatever you're comfortable with. Well, the release date we're able to say spring 2011, so that's not exact, but gives you a good general idea of when to expect it. Oh, it's on schedule, and Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. No plans for those right now. I really hope people get a chance to come out and check it out. We've had a great crowd out here the entire show. Huge lines to play it, people having a good time, smiling, laughing, and it's up for a ton of awards, so hopefully the critics and the fans will come to agreement and look for it at events this summer and beyond, because we want to get it in people's hands. So come out, check it out, decide for yourself. I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
Hey, Brett Elston back with Games Radar at E3's Capcom booth. It's a very large booth full of fine games, and we have Seth Killian with us from Capcom, going to tell us about Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This is the first time it's actually been on a show floor, and a lot of people excited, a lot of people lined up, so what can you say right off the bat?
I'm just really happy to have the game out and let people play it. We've shown a few screenshots, but I think just as in the case with Street Fighter 4, the screenshots don't really do it justice, so it's one of those games you really have to see in motion, see all the crazy stuff flying around, see the speed and the energy of the game to really appreciate it. So I'm really happy that we have it here inside the booth and outside as well, so important people like yourself can come in and see it, but everybody else at the show can come in and see it as well and get their hands on. So we just love to get people to have a chance to have hands on with the game.
And that's been kind of the operations for Capcom for a while, is kind of against type for a publisher, is to give the game, like, not just at E3, but like the fight clubs and things like that. Things like that planned for MVC3 to get it out to the people who actually want to play.
You nailed it. That's exactly what we're trying to do. So we're big believers in putting the games. We're proud of our games. We want people to play them, and if there's something they want different, tell us. Well, we can still have a chance to do something. But we're going to be doing more of the Fight Club kind of action, and in places hopefully we've never been before. So because we always get complaints like, oh, why are you doing it here? I live over here, blah blah blah. So we hear you. We're trying to get out to as many places as we can.
And I got to play it just a little bit, but just with just a few minutes of hands-on, I could see that the controls weren't quite what Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was. It seems a mix of that and Tatsunoko, which came out on Wii a little earlier, so we wanted to run through that and like how the gameplay has changed a bit?
Sure. It's actually, I think, overall quite similar to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the sense that you still definitely have 4 attack buttons, but you've got your light, medium, hard attacks, and then 1. So they're not broken up into punches and kicks anymore, and they're sort of laid out a little differently. So you still have 4 attack buttons, you still have 2 assist buttons, but they are laid out differently, and the launcher is on 1 dedicated button, which also does some special things in the air. But it still functions just as a normal attack would, like in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So I had a lot of people that were worried, well, it's not going to play the same. It is a new game, but I think overwhelmingly similar to Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in your overall play style once you get the hang of it.
And I guess, what's the release date? Is it next year still?
Still spring 2011. So hopefully we'll have a more specific date coming soon, but we got to finish the game first before we want to make any big announcements.
We were talking a little bit earlier off camera about the audio that's not really coming through on the show floor because it's so loud out here, but like quotes and things like that we can't quite hear, but you sounded like you really wanted to express some of that.
Yeah, it's just, it is very loud in here, but the audio in this game is some of the best voice acting work I've ever seen. Deadpool is, of course, a real standout in the game. He's got a lot of hilarious quotes where he's doing a lot of, he's known in the game for breaking the fourth wall. He does a ton of that in the game, so he'll complain to the player all the time. Like, if you played at Deadpool and he gets killed, he'll complain, you hit the wrong button. He does things like when he does his launcher, he yells Shoryuken, which is a nod to the comics again, where he did a Shoryuken and actually yelled Shoryuken in the comics, which is awesome. There's things also like if you win with Deadpool, he will point at the camera and say, "Hey, you, yeah, you," in there and complain, "I'm out here working my ass off. Well, you're out there sitting on yours. What's it?" And it goes into this whole spiel. So there's a lot of fun stuff, really great nods to the comic fans and Capcom fans as well. Deadpool's got the standout audio, but everybody has just great stuff. So the more time you spend with it, you pay a little closer attention, you're going to get a lot out of the game. It's really a lot of fun.
And I guess there's no new characters announced here. Like there's still this silhouetted man with his head on fire that I swear is Dormammu, but I don't know unless some announcement has been made while we've been on the floor.
Well, there may be a trailer downloading to the internets around that may have some. That's what you pay the price here, man. There'll be some more information on the mysterious silhouetted figure today. So get back to the internet.
All right, well, thanks a lot. We'll have more as the show goes on.
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 has a lot of fans, and we want to bring those fans into the next generation. But at the same time, we want to attract new people who aren't familiar with fighting games or the fighting series. So, while trying to please the fans of the previous entries in the series, we hope to attract a whole new user base. What we wanted to do was try to create a game that was easy to get into, but at the same time retain everything that the fans of the previous game also like. When people start playing this game, they'll see elements of other games in there, and we're actually working on, the team themselves are working to balance it, to make sure these new elements that we're trying to add work well in the fighting game system. Right now, at our current stage of development, we're looking around 30 characters or so. What we've announced so far, on the Marvel side, we have Wolverine, Iron Man, and Hulk, and on the Capcom side, we have new Morrigan and Resident Evil 5's Chris Redfield, who's the new character. So those 6 have been confirmed so far. As far as surprises go, yes, we hope there'll be a few surprises for the fans. It's been 10 years, so there's been a lot of new characters that have come out on both sides since then. So I think when choosing characters, like, we didn't have this character when we made 2, let's try and go with this one this time around and see what happens. So I think there'll be quite a few surprises for fans. We're looking to release this game in spring 2011.
Hey guys, we're here with the man of the hour, the very hard to reach Mr. Seth Killian.
Yeah, I'm a total D-bag these days.
He looks completely exhausted.
Yeah, it's been a great show, so it's been really awesome to see all the reaction, but it's been a bit of a grind.
Yeah.
Bit of a grind.
I'm glad that we finally got to talk to you for a little bit.
Yeah.
Talking to my own boss, guys. So I guess what I want to start off with, I was walking by the Marvel vs. Capcom booth. I saw all these awards all around the screen. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's been pretty awesome. So yeah, we got nominated by just about anybody and everybody for fighting game of the show, and a lot of guys have really come correct and even pushed us for game overall of the show. So like best game at E3. Period.
Awesome.
So that's who knows if a fighting game can win that, but it's good company to be in. The big dogs.
Now, I've seen Itsuma-san around there. Have you been noticing that the producers have been kind of like pointing out their awards for each game, kind of sizing each other up?
Yeah, he's a happy man. So obviously it's a great game, and everyone's pretty stoked. So he's certainly earned it. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. So, what's the reaction you've been getting from fans who've been playing the game?
It's been all over the place, but it's overwhelmingly good. So I come from the land of internet, which is mostly hate and bile.
We're used to it.
Like, this color is totally off, or this game is totally like this other game, which I don't like, even though I've never seen it in motion or played it. And I once heard this guy who said one thing. Whatever. I'm not gonna attack that guy. I mean, all I ever say is, we're very serious about getting our games out to let people play them when we can. So that's what we're doing here. There was a bit of an internal debate with the team whether they even wanted to let people see it, because of course it's very far from finished.
Yeah.
But they came out and put it on for us, and people, if anything, have been complaining because they think the game is done. I'm like, no. we're a year away, and this is less than a third of the cast. So we got plenty more surprises yet to come, and really hope people get a chance to play it and make up your mind for yourself. It's your responsibility. If you're gonna be internet tough guy, know what you talk about, because that's a good policy.
That, or else he'll personally send you running away.
I'll send you a frowny face.
Just like our little headsets here.
Yeah, my days of chasing people down on the internet are over. I love everybody now.
Oh, hard.
I'm well adjusted.
So one thing I wanted to ask you too was, obviously we have some new characters that we're showing here. What would you recommend people to kind of check out if this was their first experience with Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people like to start with like a Ryu or something like that. It's a good way to get your foot in the door. But really, pick the characters that appeal to you, because part of the fun of the game is, the chain combo kind of system will work for any character, and you can do something pretty interesting there. But pick characters who appeal to you, because one of the fun things about the game is seeing all the little touches in there. You're a big Resident Evil fan, of course, so you see all the stuff that Chris Redfield's pulling out, his different kinds of grenades, is all the weapons you see him use in the different parts of the Resident Evil series. So again, if you love Dante in Devil May Cry 3 is my personal favorite Dante, and that's exactly who's in this game.
Yep.
So he's awesome. Any fan of Deadpool is going to have a lot to look at. So really just find a character you love, and then I think you'll really appreciate all the little animations and the special moves. And, the basic systems work similarly for everybody, so you got to figure out the particulars and how the moves work in the best sort of order, but you can mash out a combo with anybody if you're new to the game. So pick the characters who mean most to you and have a good time.
So newcomers should not be intimidated.
No, Marvel. I remember, when Marvel 2 had come out and we were still in the hardcore competitive community, basically everyone made fun of it and was like, this is a button mashy game. It's for scrubs. Like, this is not nearly as good as any Street Fighter game. It's dumb. And over time, obviously, we learned we couldn't have been more wrong. So there's a major element to skill in the game, but you just got to stick with it for a little while. So learn, spend some time. It's great. But it's great for newcomers. That was the point we were starting with. Is that it's great?
Let's go back a little bit.
Yeah, let me rewind. I'm just like, it's the last hour of E3 or whatever.
You're forgiven. I've seen you just running around like mad. You're fine.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah,
what he means is that it's newcomers, experts, everyone could get something out of it.
Yeah, so you can mash your way into some fun stuff like right away, but you stick with it, of course. Marvel 2 is held up for 10 years, so it's been great.
All right, and any last words for MVC3 fans out there?
Yeah, just find your way to an event, get out and play it. It's going to be at some summer events this year. Certainly, I think we could expect it at Comic-Con, maybe some new stuff. Maybe it'll be some other places as well. Who knows? But yeah, definitely come out and play the game, and just stay tuned and remember, it's okay to be excited about stuff. Being excited is not uncool, and at the end of the day, it's better for you. You don't look smart just by being a frowny face all the time. It's okay to be excited.
Yeah.
So I've drank the Kool-Aid and I'm excited. We've got a bunch of guys here from Shoryuken who are tearing it apart, but they're smiling so far. So I got my fingers crossed, and of course, balancing is going to be a bear. But it's sort of I couldn't be happier with where we're going right now, and just hope it can stay hype, and wait till spring when it comes out in 2011.
You heard it here first. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. We're going to allow him to socialize a little bit with the community here. I don't know what gangster signs he's throwing.
I don't know.
I think he's spelling out your mama or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I can't even do the heart.
see you guys.
Guys, this is Ryan Panagos, Agent M, here at Capcom's booth at Comic-Con 2010 with Seth Killian. How's it going?
That's going awesome.
Tell the Marvel fans what you do for Marvel vs. Capcom. Yeah.
That's a long story.
I know.
Well, I work on community side, but on our fighting games, I'm also the special advisor, which can mean a lot of different things on different days. Mostly I worry about little things like balance, hit collision, this move's too good, it shouldn't work in this situation. Little nerdy stuff like that doesn't fall into a clear category, but trying to make the game overall awesome.
Who's your team for Marvel vs. Capcom 3? So, of what we've revealed so far.
Right now, I'm playing Dante, Trish, and Super Skrull, because I'm just all about the Skrull. He's got some brutal combos. Dante's got, I believe we actually calculated, more moves than any character in fighting game history right now. And Trish is just cheap. He has like all sorts of little tricks and traps. So I'm always setting people up to land into her little traps, so that's what I'm all about.
Have you played a lot against fans this weekend? What is this like for you?
I've been doing a lot. Well, you got to take it a little easy and keep it fun, because it's like I've been playing this game for a while and they've never touched it. So, plus we have some secrets that I don't want to reveal. So, let people have the joy of discovery. That's part of the fun of a fighting game, is you can really dig into it and find all this little stuff for yourself, and that really makes it more rewarding, I think.
Awesome. What was the reception? I mean, from our side, I know what it was, but I want to see what you guys saw.
Honestly, it's been pretty bad. No, it's been it's been unbelievable. So there've been lines all weekend to come in here and play. The tournaments have been packed with people begging to get in, and at the panels all weekend also just tons of cheers. People are really psyched. Now Thor and Amaterasu are in the game, so people are loving that. God versus God, so that's rad.
Awesome. Thanks, Seth.
My pleasure.
Later, guys.
Hi, everybody. This is Seth Killian. I'm the special advisor to Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for Capcom. This is Marvel, your universe.
Marvel, your universe.
Well, it's kind of a relief knowing that the game is finally coming out. It'll be out next week, and knowing that everyone's been waiting for this for over 10 years, it's just unbelievable. And that fact I can finally get this out, put it out there to get all the fans, I'm just really happy that it's done and it's available for them. This is, because it's a versus action series, there's a lot of things people expect from that franchise and things that make it fun. You had the revival of the Street Fighter series that came just before this, so that has its own style of play and its own fighting game system. But we wanted to make sure that everything that people know makes a Marvel vs. Capcom game fun, we wanted to make sure we put it into this game. I think the biggest reason for the change is the fact that the hardware specs are much better than what we were dealing with back then. So now we have the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. And those systems can handle the type of 3D graphics that you can make nowadays, whereas back then you were limited to the sprite animation. So I think the 3D style really suits this style of game, and because we can do it, we were able to exploit the full capabilities of both systems when making this game. And for us, it was just a challenge, but it was good to be able to see that realized. I think the art style is unique. What we tried for was to aim for American comic book art style. And I think that American comic books art style meshes perfectly with the 3D polygons. It just works well with that. And the fact that we can do that on these systems was just really great for us. But with this game, well, first of all, it's a completely different engine. It's a different system. There's budget and time constraints as well. And also, unlike the previous games, we wanted to make sure that all the characters were balanced and fit well into this game. And also so we could try and make sure that we could bring it online, too. So just trying to balance all those things, given the time constraints and budget constraints. There's no way we were going to be able to get up to 56. But I mean, you want to, but you just can't, given what we had to do. So right now, with all the DLC characters included, there's 38 characters in this game. So I think that's a lot for what we accomplished. I think the baseline for us is, would this character be fun in a fighting action game? And so we always have to keep that in mind when selecting characters. And once we know that's what we want, then we can decide, we want to choose this character for this character, or we want to choose a fighting style to add here and try to balance the game better. So it's always about, would it fit in a fighting action game? I think I've mentioned this in a few other outlets before, but I think just in terms of total work production, the hardest characters to produce were Dante and Deadpool, just because both of them, they have a lot of moves at their disposal that you can use with them, and also just a lot of in-jokes and things that they're known for that you want to try to put in. So from that point of view, those two were the hardest. In terms of balance, I guess I'd have to go with She-Hulk. And because, first of all, you want to differentiate her from the Hulk himself. Second, because she's a female character, there are certain things that you want to do with her that fit a female form and whatnot. So overall, I think she was probably the hardest to balance. The reason behind a simple mode is basically because we know this is a type of game that has mass appeal, especially with all the characters you got in there. There's a lot of popular characters from different franchises in there, and there are people who are going to want to play as those characters, but they might not be good at fighting games. So for those people, we decided to include this simple mode, just so they can get in there and they play with their friends, or if it's someone who's really good at fighting games can bring their friends in and show them what's fun about it, and they don't feel left out. They don't feel like there's this big learning curve for them. They can just start using the characters they like in this game. Well, I really like pulling off the combos, and I like using the fast characters, so that's where I'm at, kind of like where the core gamers are at with this type of game. So for me, my team is usually Wolverine, Amaterasu, and Dante.
I'm here presenting a title. It's been a while since we've heard from the Marvel vs. Capcom series. We had Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and I'm here today to announce Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Along with Capcom's revival of the fighting genre, we're bringing back our Versus series in a big way. And this is just the first in one of many announcements that'll accompany the game before its release. We really started working in development in summer 2008, but all the contract and legal negotiations, that came way before that as well. So we were in production, well, we started to produce this game before the success of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 as a downloadable title. Yeah, if you look at where both Marvel and Capcom are now to where they were when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 came out, they're both much bigger companies. And with that, there's a whole bowl of issues that accompany that. Both companies have a lot more content, a lot of newer IPs that didn't exist many years ago. And then there's all the licensing issues that relate to that. And on our side, Capcom's development side, we decide what kind of characters we want to see in this game. And then we make up a list, and then we bring it to Marvel. And they look at it and say, sorry, you can't use this guy, use this one instead, and they give us suggestions, and that helps us refine the process. And of course, they have their own needs and what they want to see in this type of game, so then they provide us with their own list, and we try to mix and match and end up with a result where everyone's happy with it. Today we're announcing 6 characters that you'll be able to play as when the game comes out. On the Marvel side, you have Wolverine, Iron Man, and Hulk. And on the Capcom side, we have Ryu, Morrigan, and Resident Evil 5's Chris Redfield. He's one of the new characters. As you'll remember, he was not in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. To round out the roster of hopefully 30 characters or so, we're looking at which characters are most popular right now, and also which characters have that flair for over-the-top moves that we can exploit for the game. Because you want to use characters that are interesting, have personality, and the ones that don't have that don't make for good fighting game characters. So we're trying to find the ones that have the right balance of personality for the game. We take the characters that people want to see, we put them in the game, and then we try to show off what will make them cool. And the cool things they do are the things that people want to be able to do easily and quickly. So we're trying to take those elements and make them as simple as possible so anyone can see these cool things that characters do right away. But at the same time, we're not forgetting that it's still a fighting game, and the people who keep playing it and look and scratch beneath the surface will see that there is significant balance to it, and that it is a meaty game for those who are looking for those elements in it. Well, right off the bat, MT Framework allows us to bring out the visuals that we want to achieve for this type of game, and it has a high fidelity, high quality when it comes to visuals. And then the second thing is with MT Framework is it's just easy to use and easy to make games with, and that's especially cogent for us because we need to put this on multiple platforms. And MT Frameworks allows us to utilize the best of all the systems when making a game. If we stay on schedule and we work really hard, we're looking to get it to your hands in spring 2011. Until then, we got a lot more announcements that'll keep coming out till the game goes on sale, so you have them to look forward to.
This is Rick Vale with KPVM reporting from the Capcom booth at the San Diego Comic-Con, San Diego, California. Speaking about Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the great game that everybody's been anticipating for over the last 10 years. Could you tell us, was it very hard to get the Marvel license back into the Capcom house to produce this game?
Yeah, up until we started production, we were in negotiations with Marvel. I think probably started around 2007 or so when we started talking with them, and we just kept going back and forth for a while until we got it underway with production.
And is the entire Marvel staple of characters available to you?
No, we were in negotiations throughout the process of which characters to use, and Marvel, of course, had some recommendations and ones they wanted to see appear in this game, and so we tried to balance the game in regards to those requests. So we didn't have the freedom to use every character they have.
So after 10 years and such an enormous amount of fan backing with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, is there anything new we should be expecting to see in Marvel vs. Capcom 3?
Well, first thing is, you want to make sure that the fans of the original series have something they recognize when they come to this new game, so it's not a completely foreign object when they start playing. But of course, because it's been 10 years and it is a new entry in the series, we want to try and change things and up the ante in a lot of regards. So for us, the challenge has been trying to find that balancing act between how much do we preserve from the old games to please the fans, and how much do we add or make up for this new game.
And did you find any programming or creative difficulties moving from the 2D style of artwork into the three-dimensional artwork?
Oh yeah, it was pretty hard because, 3D, well, first of all, 3D is good because you're able to show those whole over-the-top extreme moves that this series is known for. So in that regard, it's good. But because we're transitioning from 2D to 3D, we had to pretty much redo all the characters from scratch. So it wasn't like before where we could just take them from wherever. Everything had to start with a new slate. And then one of our goals for this game has always been to recreate the comic book feel and look of the characters, but put that into motion. So it was really difficult actually to get the 3D graphics to do that, to make it look like a realistic moving comic.
And it is a truly beautiful, absolutely gorgeous game. And has Marvel been giving a lot of input into how to perhaps capture that comic book style and feel and, sort of make it feel like a moving, living comic book?
As far as the design elements go in the game, they pretty much leave it to Capcom to do what we want and make it our way. When Marvel comes in regards to the game is in terms of the way the characters move and how they look. So we're preserving what you know from the comics and that they fall in line with the characters you know and that they don't do anything out of place. But as far as the design and everything else, they leave that all to us. So it's all just been us designing the characters and trying to make sure we bring them to life in the proper way that we're satisfied with.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Again, an absolute honor to meet you. Very much looking forward to the game. It looks fantastic. We can't wait to give it a shot.
Thanks a lot for your kind words, and I'm working really hard to make sure I finish the game on time to get it in your hands.
This is Rick Vale reporting for News 46.